Hey, what's up, Giants fans? Welcome to another episode of Giants Talk. I'm Cole Kuiper here with Giants insider Alex Pavlovic. Today, we're breaking down our top targets for the Giants this offseason, the unofficial Giants Talk wish list, if you will. Plus, Alex sat down with Giants GM Zack Minasian. Can't wait to hear from the top brass. Before we get started, Giants Talk is presented by Mancini Sleep World. Mancini Sleep World's Black Friday sale is on with savings of up to $1,200 on top mattress brands. Plus, for the first time ever, they're having 14 days of deals starting November 14th. Every single day, they'll feature a brand new limited time deal. Don't sleep on this. Visit your local Mancini Sleep World or visit sleepworld.com. All right, Alex. I feel like we thought it'd be fun today to kind of frame a good chunk of today's episode around a single question from a listener, more of a prompt about what we want to see out of this offseason.
Yeah, this is, to be clear, I think this is especially for me, this is not me reporting anything. This is obviously, I know a lot of things, but this is purely you and I, Giants Talk. If we were in charge, if we were Buster and Zach, these are guys we would target. Again, not reported. Don't aggregate this. Don't say Giants are interested in so-and-so. This is responding to the question from listener Bronson, who said, you guys respond to other people's wish lists. I'd like to hear you and Cole's. And these are somewhat realistic. This isn't just like go get Kyle Tucker and Cody Bellinger and trade Ramos for Stephen Kwan. And yeah. So we started to have a little fun, go a little more realistic with it.
Yes. We talk a lot about the number of articles and social media pieces you see out there tying the Giants to things that they aren't tied to. We're not tying them to anyone here.
Yes.
We're just talking about who we want.
Yes. In our first category here.
First category.
9-figure player, which Greg Johnson has already said, not a huge fan of the pitchers in particular. You and I both chose pitchers.
We did. We think we're pretty clear that this offseason, if they're going to spend big somewhere, pitching's the spot they need to do it. I said Dylan Cease.
Okay.
We've seen a lot of him in division. I don't think he's tied to end up back in San Diego right now, so it's not like they'd be blocking the Padres out from getting him back. But I think he'd be a good fit here. Will say with the caveat of, I put mine in after you, knowing yours is the fun pick. You
would have chosen mine as well.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
I thought maybe getting to our file here first. We can make this a universal. Our fun Giants Talk pick is Tetsuya Imai. I mean, it's easy. It's
easy.
Get in that market. Zach and I talked about it during the podcast, during the interview that's coming up on the podcast. I think this is someone who checks a lot of boxes for him just on the field. And this is one where this is, again, not reported, but they have seen him. Buster and Zach have seen him in person. They like him, obviously, I think. We'll see where they go with this. We'll see where his market goes. But just I'll steal your phrase here, just from a vibe space, like 5'11" right-hander who throws up to 99 last year and has long hair. Like, we're all in, right?
That sounds a little familiar. It's also reported that this guy is the guy we've been talking about for the past year who's like, I want to face down Ohtani. I want to be the guy who matches up against Yamamoto.
We think, yeah.
So there's no better landing spot.
Yeah, I think it's, they've been waiting for they wanted Ohtani, obviously. They wanted Tasaki. They wanted Yamamoto. They really, really, really wanted Yamamoto. So they've been waiting to have an opportunity to strike here. So this was I think this is the one on our list that is going to be like, we actually talk about this guy in November because he's going to be posted soon, and it's going to be a 45-day window. And, the New York teams will be involved. The Cubs are always involved. I can't imagine the Dodgers this time are going to be at the top of the list because they
will be involved.
They're always the Padres, although who knows, they're for sale now. So
yeah, I saw that.
What that means for them. This was our fun pick where we're like, he's automatic.
Yeah, and it kind of came out of left field for me. It's like now all the articles, all the chatter is about this one guy who's perfect for the Giants. So I'm thrilled.
I feel like this happens to you every offseason, though.
Every offseason, it's like,
all of a sudden you're like, hey, it's Roki watch.
Let's do this.
Yeah.
We're thinking about one thing for the next month.
Yeah.
All right. If we're going to take it, we both pick pitchers for our 9-figure choice. If we're going to take it to the zone of realism, let's each go with one top realistic pitching choice.
I picked Zack Gallen. I've always been just a fan of watching him pitch. I think he eats innings. He's not overpowering, but he can strike guys out. He is 2 years removed from finishing third in Cy Young voting to Blake Snell and Logan Webb. He knows Logan already. They're somewhat friendly. That's always a benefit in these things. I think because he had a really rough walk season, like he's looking at, probably looking at those 2, 3, 4 year deals. Maybe he's the guy who wants to, as you and I talk about sometimes, like come to Oracle, pitch well, get back on the market at some point. I went through his advanced stuff, and there's no obvious reason to me why last year was a down year for him. So I think he's going to be really good. He's 30 years old. I don't think he's an ace per se, but you have Logan at the top who's going to start opening day. And I think for next year, he could slide in really nicely as like a number 3 and then maybe take that Robbie Ray slot. And to me, it's just dependable. And we saw him 3 times this year, and the Giants got to him once, but the other 2 times he was really good. So, which maybe, you don't want to take into free agency because it's the Giants lineup from 2025. But I just think he still at times looks like Zack Gallen. And it seems to me like he's a guy who is not, I don't see his name as often in like these top 10, top 15. I see guys that I don't like as much ahead of him. So like projected to get like, I don't know. I think I'd feel almost as good about him as Dylan Cease. And it's maybe like a third of the contract. So.
Yeah. That's not a bad point. Now, you picked him. What about the other former Arizona big dog in Merrill Kelly?
Take them both.
I like that.
I've made this joke a million times with the Giants would win like 4 extra games this year if they just didn't have to face Merrill Kelly. So,
exactly.
No, I like Merrill Kelly too. Those are the guys I kind of like, and I think your pick here fits in that too. Like, there are a lot of guys who I think could help and not be too risky long term, and I'd feel totally fine with them starting the 3rd game of the season or 4th game of the season.
All right, so we'll get to my pick. I was a big fan of him when he was in Oakland A, and we all saw him on the biggest show at the World Series this year. Is Chris Bassett.
There you go.
This is, me and my vibes-based picks. So I'm going a lot of this based off of guys I like. And you're talking more about diving into the advanced metrics, which I don't think any listeners are expecting out of Cole. But yeah, Chris Bassett's my guy. Much bigger step down from a signing like Dylan Cease, but I don't think he'd be an unreasonable signing as we talk about how the ownership has made it clear pitching is a space where they're not putting out massive contracts, most likely.
I will, it's always impossible to know what the market's going to look like, but MLB Trade Rumors, I think, does a great job of just guessing and putting numbers out there that we can have fun with. They had Gallen at 4 years, $80 million, Bassett at 2 years, $38 million. If you took them both for that, I'd be totally fine with that. I know it's like
incredible
season. I just think you throw those 2 guys behind Webb and Ray and put Landon Roop in there in the young pitching. I think you've solved your rotation issues and you haven't ruined your long-term flexibility.
Yeah,
we're really on this lane this offseason. Like, there are some guys we don't want to give this money to, but there are other guys who are like, yeah, no, that guy's fine. You know what you're going to get.
Spend responsibly. All right, so let's leave the starting pitching zone then. Let's head to the bullpen. Let's talk about our top closer picks. And do we want to kind of caveat this with we're not going to do the massive closer deal?
Yeah, we're not doing the Edwin Diaz. I'm curious where Devin Williams goes. When you hear all these Dodger rumors, it makes it a little like he's obviously a great fit for the Giants. He's also a great fit for the Dodgers. So and other teams. I think teams have gotten smart with relievers and realized like, oh yeah, it was a rough season for him in New York, but
yeah,
whatever. I will go back to Buster's interview on Thursday, where I thought maybe the most revealing thing there was he did say they maybe want like a competition in spring training as opposed to like, hey, here's Edwin Diaz, here's so and so. We know it's not going to be Diaz, but they're not going to go to like that end of the market for their closer. Buster was behind the plate for Mark Melanson experience. But the top, I think we framed this one as like top guy, non-elite guy, but a guy we'd like to see in the bullpen. And I chose Ryan Helsley, the former Cardinal. Blake Zabel once hit a walk-off off him, which was watching from the press box was I couldn't believe the way he pitched Zabel, but that's a story for another day. He was horrible in New York to the point that you start seeing like YouTube videos of people saying he's tipping his pitches, and this is his problem with the Mets. Probably one of the reasons the Mets collapsed down the stretch is they didn't have him where they needed him. Now he still throws 100.
Yeah.
And he's another guy not too far removed from being really, really good. And I look at this market. I just kind of like guys like this where I go like, again, play up the Oracle factor. We'll see who the pitching coach is, but play up the Patrick Bailey factor. That's what the Giants should be. Like that is the success they have had in the last decade was when they did this with Kevin Gausman and Anthony DeSclafani and Alex Wood and even Dom Leone and guys like that. Like, get guys in here who are maybe better than what the market perceives of them and find solutions. So that's why I like this one. I think he could, under the right circumstances, could very easily be your closer. And if it goes wrong, you're not spending too much.
I kind of cheated on my closer pick mostly because I really wanted this one guy on my list somewhere. And there was no other option to slot him in. I put Tyler Rogers on this one.
There you go.
Do I see him as a realistic go-to Giants closer? No. Do I see him pitching the occasional ninth inning if the Giants acquired him? Yes. Just to slot him in to make this work. I think Tyler Rogers was such a good Giant, and I do think having the hands-on experience with him, the Giants are going to value him higher than a lot of the other teams around the league. When you see him on these free agent lists, he's not nearly as high as he deserves to be. And he is the kind of piece the Giants bullpen needed after they let him go. And I don't know, could have even been in the playoffs if Tyler Rogers was still in the mix.
Yeah, it'd be just bring both the Mets over.
Yeah, so, exactly. Package him.
Yeah, I think trade rumors has him at 2 years, $18 million. I don't know if that's, who knows. Tyler Rogers is November 17th. We're sitting here like, why isn't this done already?
Exactly. This seems like the obvious move.
We get it, but offseason hasn't really started other than Josh Naylor. But he makes a ton of sense. I think for with Tyler, it just fills the eighth inning, and then you're like, okay, go find someone to pitch the ninth, and then you have guys. I'm obviously still a believer in Ryan Walker's talent. Like you can find guys to pitch the sixth and seventh after that, but the eighth and ninth right now is I don't feel great about. I don't think there's options currently. Maybe someone steps up like a Peguero, or maybe Walker figures it out. But yeah, to me, that's like that'd be a pretty clean fit to go get Rogers back and then find someone who can pitch the ninth.
You're also going to get a lot of flack for bringing back some former Giants, just with the whole like we can't roll it back. We can't. This would be a unanimously popular pick for Giants.
This would be This is an easy one. Maybe too easy.
Next category, our top free agent outfield target. I think the biggest names of free agency, at least on the non-pitching side, are all outfielders this offseason. I'm going to go Harrison Bader. I think he would bring that defense the Giants need. Obviously, this would take a little shuffling, probably moving Lee elsewhere, but he's got pop on offense. He has the lockdown defense they would need. I don't know. Did he have just is his 2025 year actually going to be what a 2026 year is going to be? I don't know that you can guarantee that, but I also, there's a lot of talk about Giants got to get Tucker. Those aren't the names that I'm tying the Giants to.
I'm going to say none.
You're going to say none?
They're going to get an outfielder. I am unenthused by the free agent market. And there's the guys at the top. Like, obviously, you'd love Kyle Tucker in your lineup. Not for $400 million.
Yeah.
If that's what we're talking about. Bellinger, we've talked about for years. He's in that. I don't know. I don't think you're going to outbid some of the teams that want him, given your pitching needs.
Yeah, and especially because he's so much younger than all the other options out there right now, he's going to get a massive deal.
Trent Grisham's out there. He's coming off probably going to get a lot of money coming off of a very nice free agency year. I want to read a list to you here. This is the ESPN. Kylie McDaniel did a phenomenal job of putting together his top 50. Here's his honorable mention for outfielders. Mike Yastrzemski, we know him. Max Kepler, Rob Refsnyder, Cedric Mullins, Lane Thomas. There are guys in there who, yes, under the right circumstances can be a help here. Michael Conforto, we know him. Starling Marte, Andrew McCutcheon, we know him. Randall Grichuk, Miguel Andujar, Tommy Pham. That's probably not happening for a number of reasons. Ryan Ward, Austin Slater, we know him. Michael Taylor, Dustin Harris, Daz Cameron, Billy McKinney. That's his outfield depth list. It is. Yeah. It's not a great offseason to be with. There are guys in there who can help. I mean, Ref Snyder, even as much as we joke about it, Slater did some very good things, and Yaz did as well. I just kind of look at it and go I don't know that that's a list that excites me too much. Yeah,
no, I think that makes a lot of sense. When the list starts with Mike Yastrzemski, who the Giants parted ways with,
who's good
because I don't think there's a lot of depth to that for us.
It's a weird offseason outfield class. It does seem like a spot where maybe can you find the trade piece who, you have some guys who have to be taken off the 40-man. Can you turn one of those into a right field option?
Yeah. All right. Well, with that, the last category of our wish list section is our top trade target. Obviously, free agency is where most of the discussions happen in the offseason, but obviously you can also cut deals with your fellow teams. Alex, do you want to go first or do you want me to go first?
I'll go first. I think, everyone talks about the position players. It makes sense. There's some guys on the Cardinals who make sense. Certainly there's some outfielders who would make sense. I wonder if, given what we see with pitching every offseason, if I still am steadfast that they need 2 starters. And if they look at it and go, short of taking our plan, which I think is brilliant, just go get Gallen and Bassett. And
why not?
Good to go. I wonder if they look up in 3 weeks and it's we don't want to pay for 2 of these guys. So you trade for a starter. And the one I chose because his name popped up last week. 2 reasons. One, his name popped up as a potential trade option, was Chris Bubich of the Kansas City Royals, a lefty. He absolutely dominated the Giants last year. The second reason I chose him is one of the co-hosts of this podcast, the one who's talking right now. He's from Cupertino, California.
There we go.
I never see that on baseball reference pages. It says he was born in Cupertino. That's can't be true because there's no hospital there, but we'll give it to him.
Could have been a taxi cab berth or something.
Close enough. Archbishop Mitty guy, Stanford guy. He's a local. And again, he absolutely dominated the Giants when we saw him last year and just looked like one of those guys who would, pitch 7 innings at Oracle Park every time out, just taking advantage of the ballpark. So if he's available, it's not the high end, but you look through what he did last year and you look through the improvements he's made over the last couple of years. I think he's really intriguing. So, and again, this is our vibes-based part of the podcast. And you're telling me you're getting a local guy in here, someone who might want to stay? Done.
The stories write themselves.
Plus, we can talk about, our favorite Cupertino eateries.
There we go. Great content. You're thinking of Giants talk just as much as you're thinking about the Giants, and I appreciate that, Alex.
Yeah, but really, if you go and sign one and trade for one like this, that's also a pretty clean offseason.
Yeah. All right, my pick is someone who pitched last season in a San Francisco or in a Giants related ballpark, and that's Luis Severino of the A's. He was highly touted to be on the trade deadline block last offseason. They didn't move him, or last mid-season, but they didn't move him. He's one of those guys who didn't put up the numbers I think the A's expected him to, especially in the last half of last year. But there was a lot of talk about his issues with what's going on in their franchise, their lack of clubhouse situation, the amenities, and total candidate for a change of scenery guy. Just would the A's do it? Just
begging to be with a
send me to a normal club. The one downside would be if he ever had to I don't know, get a rehab start in AAA. I think he'd have PTSD flashbacks.
Yeah. Or they do have the rivalry series every year.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, they probably want to face him.
Yeah.
No, I like that one. I think this is, again, I think we have a theme here of this sweet spot of guys who we think are good big league starters.
Mm-hmm.
Not crazy, but good big league starters who could help and fill in behind the top two guys you have already.
Yeah. If they could get two more, this season is going to feel a lot cozier than if, they try to piece it together with internal options in one signing.
Yeah, it's the one thing and maybe we didn't, we were a little rushed last week. I was traveling. I was reeling from Excalibur. The one thing maybe we didn't talk about a lot was there was a lot of talk in Vegas from Buster in particular about internal options and letting some of those guys flourish. And I think I would still I think they need two starters. And those guys are all going to get an opportunity over the course of the year anyway. But if Blade Tidwell or Carson Wisenhunt goes out in Scottsdale and looks like the best guy on the team, we saw this with Logan Webb when he broke through. He was the best guy in camp. And it was well, we don't really have a spot for him. And then within 2 days, you had a spot for him. I think it was Alex Wood's back or something flared up. That's your better option than your fifth spot is left to one of those guys in spring training. So we're pretty adamant that they need two. And that's why our list was go get two starters and then fix other things.
Very pitching heavy list. Now we can't wait to see these names pop up on aggregate sites as being tied to the Giants.
Don't do it. This is Giants talk only, wish list. This is no reporting. I purposely stayed away from guys who I will report about maybe. So.
All right. With that, let's take into some topics around the league before we dive into some more questions from listeners. Big coaching news. Giants got their hitting coach. Alex, what do we know about Hunter Mentz?
He's not Hunter Pence, which is he's what we know is I think he is this came out right after we recorded last week. He comes from a place that is bat control heavy. It is, the Blue Jays hit for average. They led the league in average. The Blue Jays do not strike out. They're 200-300 below the Giants. So that is going to be necessary. I don't think I guess we didn't talk about it here. I maybe said it on a YouTube video. I don't think you're going to fix the Giants strikeout problems necessarily because Rafi Devers swings really hard, and Willie Adames and Matt Chapman and Elliot Ramos and Patrick Bailey and Jung-Hoo Lee. A lot of these guys are locked in. We know what their contracts are, and there's only so much you can do to change some of these guys. But I think you want more in general, just slight improvements in that department from the core, and then I think you want more from the backups. I think you want to see some of these young guys make more contact, put the ball in play a little bit more often. The Blue Jays did that constantly, and they were, multiple inches away in small things. What was it, bases loaded there where the guy hit the grounder to Rojas and they make the play at the plate, but multiple times we're very close to getting the game-winning double or the game-winning infield single or World Series winning. So you're haunted by it.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think some of those fly balls that went to the wall were in any other ballpark, the game's over. Can't forget those.
If it's the Giants, we probably watch a guy take strike three. Last year we did. So anyway, I think just from a pure, you look at with coaches, oftentimes, I think it's funny when I see I see this sometimes on social media now when like Tony's choices come out and people are like, "Oh my God, like got another one." I'm like, we don't know. We don't. I mean, coaching, it's a lot of it you're reading between the lines on what their teams did. But it is intriguing to me that the Giants are trying to draft guys who put the ball in play and now get a hitting coach from a place where they do an excellent job of that. And the other thing that stood out is he fits to me the mold of a lot of Gabe's guys who you look at their backgrounds and where they have coached, what they have done. It's very similar to like Justin Vealey, Dustin Lind, some of these guys who had, Kai Correa, these guys who had success and have had tremendous success since.
Yeah, I mean,
Gabe's staff. So I think he would fit right in. I think he would probably be somebody who's like on Gabe's list. So
with
I
that
would say is a good thing.
Let's dive right to the Giants had a departure just as they add Mark Hallberg is going to Minnesota to be the bench coach there for the Twins. And that just kind of like caps off an insane list of the 2021 Gabe Kapler coaching crew who have all just been taking over the league.
Talk about coaching trees in other sports, and like there never really was like a Bruce Bochy coaching tree. Guys didn't leave. Like there's a Gabe Kapler coaching tree now. He's obviously the general manager of the Marlins. Craig Albernez is the Orioles manager. Kai Correa is the Mets bench coach. Donnie Ecker is the Orioles bench coach. Mark Hallberg is the Twins bench coach. That's crazy because it's like the top two spots, manager, bench coach. And you have 4 from that staff. And I think you will see at least one of those bench coaches get a shot to manage in the near future. I think probably multiple.
Yeah.
So there's a world in which like there could be 3 or 4 guys from that 2021 staff who are managing.
Yeah. And we're on Stephen Vogt wasn't from that year, but another giant turned manager elsewhere in the league.
Yeah, it is I think one, it's a credit to that team. And 2, one thing I think the Giants should be just a little aware of is like they let some really good coaches get out the door when they just flipped everything over. And at the time, I don't know I think I was on paternity leave, so we didn't talk about it at all. But like in retrospect, it's kind of like, I don't know that you needed to turn the whole organization over to Bob Melvin's staff. And like probably could have said, Bob, it's not working in San Diego. You want to come home, but also like you got to keep some of these coaches because we think they're good. So clearly people around the league think that there are some very talented young coaches on that staff. And if Tony is able to find some of those guys, the Giants should do their best to make sure they don't get out the door. So
one of my first reactions or first thoughts was like, wow, are the Giants opening themselves up to vulnerability, just having such a breadth of guys with intimate knowledge of their systems, intimate knowledge of their players. But I guess there's hardly any roster turnover, or hardly any guys remaining from that team, despite it being only 4 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, Hallberg's the guy who is here. He's close with Buster. I felt this at the GM meetings when Buster was being coy about it. I think I said it here. Like I didn't really see the reasoning to let him out the building because I think he's a talented coach. Now they couldn't offer him the bench coach job, so that this makes sense now. So it's like this is a huge. If somebody else had made him like third base coach, I would have been like, Giants, what are you doing? But this is a huge step up for him, a huge career opportunity for him. One he had to take, and one I don't think the Giants can match. But I think he's really good. So they're going to miss him, and he made sense on Tony's staff, and I know for a fact they really, really wanted him back. I just don't think they could. You couldn't match this.
Yeah. One more topic before we move on to mailbag questions and Alex's interview with Zack Minasian. Logan Webb finishes 4th in Cy Young voting. Our guys always getting votes. And that was it as far as Giants getting votes for anything. We got run back the classic almost but never were going to be Giants duo in Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge. And that's it. So Logan Webb, 4th in Cy Young. That's our closest thing to a trophy this year.
Not a very exciting award season outside of Gold Gloves. Logan has now gone 2nd, 6th, and 4th in 3 straight years. So very impressive. The weirdos who occasionally are out there on social media going like the Giants don't have an ace. Like I think they do.
They do.
Yeah, and this is the one he really wants. So He needs to avoid that, and this is hard to do. And also sometimes during the course of the year, you're not feeling great, but he still goes out there. We know he takes the ball. He never goes on the injured list, never takes a breather. If he can avoid that little blip every year where it seems like he has a couple starts where he kind of wrecks his ERA, that's what he needs to get higher up there. And also Paul Skeens is going to be really difficult to pass.
Yeah.
A few years. But this is one he wants, and he's been in the mix 3 straight years.
Yeah. Can you think of any guys who were consistently in the mix but didn't get there? Like how many years is it until it's like really notable that Logan's been up there for a while?
I think like 5.
Okay.
I bet if we went through, there are some guys who were second, fourth. But it is, for especially in Giants franchise history. I mean, we have the Timmy back-to-back, but it's pretty rare to get 3 years like this.
Yeah.
Just automatic. And even when it feels like, I know he wasn't thrilled with his 2024 season, he still was one of the best pitchers in the National League. So appreciate it. It's rare, and it's what teams are searching for. And if he was on the open market, he would, I don't know, 250?
He'd make a killing.
He'd make a killing. So
Yeah. All right. Well, shout out Logan Webb. You are keeping us sane here in San Francisco. Alex, I have mailbag questions from listeners. We have an interview with Zack Minasian. But first, Giants Talk is presented by Mancini Sleep World. Mancini Sleep World's Black Friday sale is on. Enjoy deals that will save you up to $1,200 on top of their daily featured deals starting on the 14th. Don't sleep on this. Visit your local Mancini Sleep World or visit sleepworld.com. Okay. It's almost here, man. Black Friday, this November is storming by.
Black Friday was, then I'm like, okay, winter meetings time.
Yeah.
So go time. And then it's like, okay, spring training. So this offseason's streaming along.
Yeah, we're clipping along. First question is from Jay Shern. Jay Shern says, despite coming off an injury, could Ha-Seong Kim be someone the Giants pursue for second base? If I remember correctly, Alex has said the position is not really in need with Schmidt taking over, but when healthy, Kim can play gold glove defense, has a low strikeout rate, and has the ability to steal bases, which are areas the Giants could improve on. Trust in Schmidt to take the next step or sign Kim?
Yeah, he was somebody we talked about a lot last offseason. Some of that was Bob Melvin loved him. They went and got Willie Adames instead. That has worked out well so far. This is one where I go to something I've been preaching for about 6 weeks, and something I know some Giants people have talked about internally as well, is just spend every dollar on pitching. And the MLB trade rumors projections for him are 2 years, $30 million. ESPN had him at a 1 year, $16 million contract. I don't think it's enough of an upgrade over Casey Schmidt. If it's an upgrade, it probably is, but I don't think it's enough of an upgrade to spend any sort of significant money where you could put that towards either a better starting pitcher, a starting pitcher, 3 relievers. So that's how I feel about it.
Yeah.
But
no, I think that's
somebody they've liked, and obviously he's friends with Jung-Hoo Lee. But
the Jung-Hoo Lee connection keeps being what I'm like, oh, that'd be why it's so great. But it is a good reminder that a lot of the reason it was discussed so heavily last offseason was because of Bob Melvin. So that makes sense. Chris says, what about signing Bader to what's projected to be a relatively inexpensive short-term deal and moving Jung-Hoo to right? Hey, I thought of this one too earlier.
You go.
Sounds good to me. I think it's a real knockout idea.
Cole did it. He obviously makes sense. I will just say about the moving Jung-Hoo to right, I don't think they're there yet. In fact, I know they're not there yet. I don't think they want to get there quite yet. I think they view this as if this is a move that has to happen, it's not one they want to make for opening day 2026. It's one they want to give him an opportunity next year to try and show improvement in center field. And he was good early in the year, and then it fell off a cliff. But I think he learned a lot. I mean, he lost like 10, 12 pounds. I think they learned a lot. And that is one where I know for a fact they're not ready to move him off of center field, short of something happening that would require, like, maybe the right fit is out there at some point where you go like, well, that guy has to play center field. But their current plan is for him to be their center fielder. And if he has to move at some point, he has to move, but not early in next season.
Can't we put him in left just for opening day to keep the streak alive?
I think they have to end that streak. And we ended the 30-homer streak.
Yeah.
And got to end that streak. Maybe that's what's holding him back. So,
yeah. Okay.
Oh, they won some titles that way, but got to end that one.
One more question from Mark. Mark says, would you guys ever consider doing an AMA on the SF Giants subreddit? Maria Guardado just did one, and it was a lot of fun.
Sure. How do I do that? I don't know.
We probably have to. Mark, can you set that up for us?
You strike me as more of the Reddit guy here than me.
I used to be a big Reddit guy. I don't go on very much anymore, but yeah, that'd be fun. I always like doing Q&A kind of stuff online, answering fun questions. But that is the kind of thing that will get us aggregated, Alex.
How about those people send us mailbag questions?
Just do it here.
I'm generally fine with whatever.
Yeah.
I think they asked me years ago, and then I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
Whoever runs that, like next time I have a book that's coming out, like hit me up.
next time you have a book that's coming out. Oh yeah, that's perfect. We can do it ahead of the holiday season. We can show your book. It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah. I didn't know Maria did one. I'm gonna have to go read it. So
yeah. All right. With that, let's take it to Alex's interview with Zack Minasian. Alex, anything we need to know going into this chat?
This was last week in Las Vegas, but nothing has really happened since then. So
still as green as can be.
Yeah, I did ask him one question at the end that somebody had sent us, which is a good reminder not just to send us mailbag questions, but occasionally if you have one, like we have a list of, he doesn't know this, but we have a list of questions here specifically for George Contos that people have sent that are like, George, next time you're on the podcast, I'm asking you like 5 questions from listeners.
Exactly.
But there was a question I asked at the end here that was from a listener that we did not have an answer to. And so if you have questions you want to ask other people, you can send them our way as well. And if we find it compelling, I sit down with these people quite often. So
we have questions for Tony V. We have questions for Buster Posey. We have questions for Dwayne Kuiper, all in our little bank. So send them our way. And with that, let's hear from Zack Minasian.
All right, Giants general manager Zack Minasian. Everybody knows the winter meetings. These are the lesser-known GM meetings, which technically you're the GM. Can you tell people who aren't familiar, what are the GM meetings? What gets done here?
Yeah, there's some league conversation, rule changes, things of that nature with Major League Baseball and the other teams. And then also it's kind of our first opportunity to maybe interact with agents and teams to get a sense of what players are looking for, what teams are looking for. So a lot of information gathering at this set of meetings.
You guys already did something at this set of meetings, traded for right-hander Logan Martin.
Yeah.
Was an A-ball last year with Kansas City. What can you tell Giants fans about what they're getting in him? I know he's a long ways away potentially, but what do you like about him?
Yeah, it's an arm strength starter. We had designated Mason Black for assignment after acquiring Justin Dean and Rivers San Martin a couple days ago, so I had to make a decision on Mason and fortunate to get an arm strength starter back in the system.
I think San Martin makes a lot of sense. Just, you're going to add a bunch of relievers to this group this offseason. But what did you like about him and also Justin Dean? I mean, we just saw him in the World Series.
Yeah.
We know his strengths. What stood out about those two guys?
Well, with San Martin, just the versatility, left-handed, some big league experience. And then with Justin, just an elite defender in center field. So it felt like two things that fit the roster at this time.
How do you think Justin fits into – it's kind of a crowded 40-man for outfielders, a bunch of young guys, some guys out of options. How do you see that group?
Yeah, I think the answer right now is I'm not sure. Just trying to get as much talent as possible and just felt like his skill set fit really well off some of the other outfielders that we have. So he probably is the best defender of the group, probably the fastest base runner. Some of our other outfielders, bring some different things to the table. So happy to have him on, and we'll see what he can do in Arizona.
I think I have this right. I don't think you guys had made a waiver claim before that. If you go back to like Sam Huff in January.
Yeah.
Was that weird coming off the previous 5 years to just not make a waiver claim for 6 months?
Yeah, it was different. I don't know if I would say weird. I do think there are some players that we claimed who just didn't get to us due to the pecking order. So I think Buster being on the job now for over a year, and myself as well, you probably develop a little more comfort with making some transactions like that. So not to say we're going to make a bunch of waiver claims, it depends on the players that are available, but certainly want to use that to improve the roster when we can.
Something else going on right now, the Arizona Fall League, Parks Harbor has had a very good fall.
Yeah.
Didn't get a lot of attention at the deadline because I think there were some bigger names. He's a little further away, and people looked at it when he was a little bit older for A-ball when I think he was hurt too.
Yeah.
What have you seen from him in Arizona, and what does this mean for his next spring and next year?
Yeah, well, for him not maybe getting a lot of attention nationally or in the media, he surely got a lot of attention in our room, and it's a credit to Hadi Rod, our pro director, Josh Sherman, our director of player procurement, Paul Bien, a lot of our scouts who are on Parks, and I think what he's shown in the Fall League is just a continuation of what he did all last year in A-ball and high A, and that's just hit.
Yeah.
He can hit. He impacts the baseball. He's shown decently at third base, maybe even better than what we expected. So maybe a chance to maybe move him on the field and see where else he's comfortable defensively. But I think the bat's real, and it's been fun to watch.
I think he's playing some corner outfield down there with Chapman and Devers and Eldridge. To some of these younger guys who can hit, just have to. You got to learn right field. You have to learn left field.
Yeah, the versatility is certainly going to help them, and the more versatile they are, the more they can create an opportunity for themselves. So, but right-handed power in our ballpark seems to fit pretty well. It's always going to be a welcome addition.
One thing I'm sure you'll be asked about here, and at the winter meetings all offseason, is acquiring pitching. I know you're just getting going in that, but I wanted to ask you about somebody who's here already, and we thought was going to be locked in, Hayden Birdsong. He goes down to AAA. The command wasn't – it was a little bit better, I think, than it was like his last few weeks in the big leagues, but it wasn't quite enough to get him back to the big leagues. Where do you stand right now with Hayden?
Yeah, I think a lot of the same feelings last year. Is a pitcher with a tremendous amount of upside. Obviously there's work to do. I think Giants fans, us in the front office, coaching staff, teammates, we all saw what he's capable of, and now it's just a matter of being consistent, which I think is maybe the biggest hurdle for a major league player to get over. You establish yourself as having that type of ability, but also establishing yourself as someone who can continue to succeed at the major league level, at a high level. So that's certainly in there. As far as his role, certainly open to that. Would love for him to continue as a starter and eventually be a starter on the major league team and realize that upside, because we do think it's real. And I think some of these things with pitchers of this nature, they tend to have to go through bumps and bruises to get to where they ultimately go. And hopefully Hayden can turn the tough part of last season into a positive and become a better pitcher for it.
When you see what he did the first couple months as a reliever, just kind of took to it right away, and that's obviously a huge hole in the organization right now. How difficult is it to withstand trying to make that move right now?
Yeah, it's certainly alluring, and I think we just have to be open-minded to it. So as much as we need starters right now, we need good pitchers. And if Hayden's going to be particularly dominant and run in one role, it's probably in our best interest for him to continue in that role. But we still believe in the person, we believe in the ability, and ultimately long-term think he could be a really good starter at the major league level.
You came from Milwaukee, where it seems like every year they have 2 or 3 relievers where you're like, who is that guy?
Yeah.
How do you get him? You kind of did that early on here in San Francisco, the 21 team especially. You have to rebuild basically an entire bullpen. How do you go about doing that in an off-season?
I go back to being open-minded. I look at where we were at late last season, Joel Paguero coming on, Matt Gage coming on, Joey Lucchese coming on, and continuing to challenge our people in the front office, to find those types of arms. So, they're out there, players just starving for an opportunity. It's one little change here, maybe converting from a starter to reliever, maybe trying a new grip, maybe something clicks confidence-wise. So, those arms are out there, and I think to me, it's about being open-minded to the entire spectrum of the market, not just the big-time major league free agent, maybe the minor league free agent who just hasn't gotten that opportunity. So we're going to look all over, under the couch, in the cushions, everything you can think of, and see if we can just find some more good arms and good people to bring in to compete for the bullpen spots.
It does seem like not just in Milwaukee, but here, even before you got here, Jeremy and his group have had a ton of success getting some of those guys that you maybe haven't heard of. Paguero last year, a good example. how active or is that going to be like a big part of rebuilding this group? Is just maybe these moves that we don't think about now, but in spring training you go like, oh, that's a pretty good arm.
Yeah, I mean, we're extremely active. No sense in hiding it. Free agency started at 2 p.m. on whatever day of the week that was, and at 2:01, Jeremy, myself, Jose Bonilla, Paul Bien, we're making calls to agents for our priority players, trying to explain what a great situation we have to offer. So it's not to say that's the only thing we're going to do, but anything we do, we're going to try and be the best at it, and minor league free agency is no different.
This is maybe a painful question, but I thought of you watching the World Series because I know you had seen Yamamoto a few times. Seeing what he did in October, was it kind of bring back flashes of like, we kind of thought this is who he was?
Unfortunately, yes, and it brings back flashes. So it still stings a little bit, but I think one of the things about losing and seeing your rival win, as tough as it can be, we have to turn it into a positive, and if it pushes us to go beyond our comfort zone, to challenge ourselves and be more creative about getting players, then so be it. So yeah, I try and put him out of my mind, but yeah, that's about what I thought he could do.
I know you've gotten a lot of miles going overseas the last few years. Maybe not as much now that you're the GM, but Buster went there this year. How active do you guys want to be in that market, and especially this offseason when it seems like there's multiple good pitching options?
Yeah, well, we'd like to be a destination for those teams and for those players. We'd like the NPB and the KBO to look at the Giants as one of the premier Major League Baseball franchises, how we see ourselves. And we think our community, our fan base, how our fans have taken to Jung-Hoo Lee, players coming over, experience a different culture, the support staff that we have in the clubhouse, that I think it's going to be a little bit easier for a player from that part of the world to come and assimilate to Major League Baseball. So we feel like we have a great opportunity and situation to offer to Japanese, Korean players. But a lot of it, sometimes it just has to match up. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But I will say when it comes to having an evaluation and being prepared to make a decision on those players, we will be extremely prepared.
How do you convince those players to not be a Dodger when they see Otani and Yamamoto and Sasaki?
Yeah. Well, I think my goal is never going to be to convince someone to not be somewhere else. I don't know if I convinced my wife to marry me by telling her she shouldn't marry anyone else, but basically just put our best foot forward about who we are, how we can treat them, how we can take care of them, the things that we can do that separate ourselves from those other clubs. We're pretty fortunate in San Francisco to have such a great fan base, a diverse fan base that appreciates what those players in particular can bring. So I think things of that nature hopefully mean something to Japanese players and Korean players going forward.
I'm going to finish with a question from a podcast listener, and I had no idea actually the answer. They asked during the manager search, how do these manager searches actually go? Are these Zoom interviews? Are they phone calls? What can you tell maybe Giants fans about, like, how do you actually do this process?
Yeah, they're all the above. And I would say the interview process from year to year, I sat in the interview process when we hired Gabe Kapler in 2019, sat in the interview process when we hired Bob Melvin. I was in Milwaukee in the interview process when we hired Ron Renicky, when we hired Craig Counsell. So they're never the same. In this instance, it was a lot of Zoom calls and it was a lot of phone calls, maybe a couple in-person meetings, but mostly Zoom and on the phone.
I assume with Tony, because he hasn't done this before, maybe there's some curiosity about in-game stuff. Are you able to gauge any of that in these? Are you asking about situations, or is that just hard to do in a meeting?
I know there's some interview processes where there have been legitimate game situation video up, and the potential manager is being asked what they would do in a certain situation. We didn't go to that extent with Tony. I think we were all pretty open about Tony entering a little bit of a different world than what he's experienced. And we talked about it. We all acknowledged it, but we didn't necessarily try and test his knowledge on when do you want to flip the left-hander to right side and when you're bringing this reliever in. And I think those are things hopefully we can collaborate on and have good conversations during the spring and even in the off season.
All right, Giants general manager Zack Minasian, 3 new players already. It's been like a week, so
sounds good. Let's keep going.